KMSU.
Hi, is Dustin there?
This is Dustin.
Hey, Dustin, it's Josh Pais.
How you doing today?
Fantastic.
Excellent. I am excellent, and I'm here with my excellent co-host, Ton.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
I am doing beautiful. Glad to have you on the line here. It's good. If we're ready, we can go ahead and get started.
Let's do it.
All right, well, I guess we'll just start off with the typical kind of question. Can you tell us kind of how you got started in acting?
Well, going way back, I grew up in a very bohemian household in the East Village, and we had performance art in our house, and we would have these performances about every 2 weeks. About 30 or 40 people would just kind of cram into our living room, and we would do these things that we call them shows. And I got involved in that, when I was like 9 or 10 years old, and just, really enjoyed it. And, when it came time to go to college, I was pretty clear I wanted to be an actor. And so I started, I went to Syracuse University, and I went to London for a year, and I just started training, and then came to New York, and, I did little plays in basements, and, did construction work during the day and did plays at night, and ate macaroni and cheese out of Kraft macaroni and cheese. And, from there I got, I did an off-Broadway play, and then I did a play on Broadway, and then my first TV job was on The Cosby Show, and then I did a movie my first movie was a movie called Jackknife, and I just had a few little scenes, but they were with Robert De Niro, which was really cool. And then, I just started working pretty steadily. My first bigger movie was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I played Raphael in that. And then, I've been working, pretty steadily ever since, doing a lot of, probably done about 100 movies and TV shows. Some of the movies I've done, have done quite well, and some have kind of, had a very brief theatrical life. And, that's the deal. And just trying to learn how to, how to deal with the life of being an actor. And I kind of treat it almost like a spiritual practice, so that it, I don't, so it doesn't make me crazy. And that's the short version.
Yeah, you've definitely been in some very different things. Now, back to, I guess, sort of the earlier section of your career, you were doing things, theater, and then you started going into TV and movies, and then getting that role as Raphael in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. How did that happen? Because that seems like kind of different, since you were in the suit, but then were you also one of the only people that did the voice acting as well? Is that right?
Yeah, I was the only one that did both. And, how that came about, my agent called and said, there's this movie, and it's called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And I was like, what? Can you say that again? And I just couldn't wrap my head around it. And, I read the script, and I checked out some of the comic books that Eastman and Laird had done, and they seemed really dark and really, really cool. And I met with Steve Barron, the director, and initially, I grew up in a pretty dangerous neighborhood, and people had like these walks that they had when they walked around the neighborhood, just to kind of make themselves bigger than they were, and to let everyone know that they were kind of badasses. And so I kind of, adopted one of those walks in my audition of just kind of, I was thinking, like, how would a human turtle walk? And, like, turtles always, their hands kind of scoop back to the side. And so I kind of adopted, like, a Lower East Side walk that had, like, with almost the same movement of a turtle. And they, they were just into, what I created. And then we went through it, really, and after I, was offered the part, went through, very, very physically rigorous training of, we did about 4 months of martial arts, and all of us were body casted, from head to toe. They flew us to England to Jim Henson's tweaker shop, and they sealed me up in in plaster, literally from head to toe, except for 2 straws that were sticking out of my nose so I could breathe.
That's crazy.
It was very intense. I mean, I don't consider myself a claustrophobic person, but that was claustrophobic. That was intense. And evidently, they told us that they kept us in there longer than they needed to, just to see how we were going to deal with that, because, the costumes were, they weighed 70 pounds, and it took, about an hour to get suited up. And once you were in, it was hard. You couldn't just, take your head off to breathe easily. So, but there were times when we were shooting where, one of us couldn't take it anymore, and you'd hear take the head off, take the head off, and, but, and that would just, slow down the shooting. But so it was a very fun and rigorous and challenging operation.
So did you not have any martial arts background or any training before this film?
I did have some martial arts. As a kid growing up in New York, I got mugged a lot. And so some people in the neighborhood said, you should come do karate. And I was like, okay. And so I was really into it. And so, and we would do I don't know if I know how we quite did it, but at the end of class, the teacher would turn off the lights and pair 2 people up, and we would spar in the dark. And you just had to become so hyper aware of every sound and every movement. And after that, nobody ever messed with me again. And I think it's just because I had a greater awareness of my environment. And so certainly, that martial arts training was the basis, for what I did, for the movie, but I never used the sai. I had to completely learn how to use that tool. So that was an extensive part of the training.
Well, you mentioned now when they first came to you for the role that you really weren't familiar with the Turtles. Obviously afterwards it was humongous. Were you at all shocked at how huge this was, or did it kind of change your life from there?
I was shocked. And it was kind of interesting because it was one of the biggest movies of that year, and it's a movie that has had just a tremendous impact on so many people. But at the same time, I was, nobody really knew it was me.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting. It took quite a few years before people started to put together that, the actor that they were seeing in Law and Order or all these different movies, was the same guy, who played Raphael. It was a very interesting. It was one day, Leif Tilden and I, and he played Donatello, while the movie was, a year or so after it had come out, and it was still very much in the air. And we were at the beach, and there was a kid running around. He had a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle towel kind of wrapped around him, and he was running around doing, going, "I'm a Ninja Turtle, I'm a Ninja Turtle," and and we said to him, "Hey, guess what?" I said, I played Raphael, and he played Donatello, and the kid, just kind of looked at us, and just kind of his face kind of caved in, and he just kind of ran, terrified to to his parents, like, who are these people? Why are they saying that?
Man, yeah, that would be rough. Now, is there any reason, or is that part of it, why you decided not to be in the sequel, or?
Well, at that time, when they talked to me about the sequel, I was doing a recurring role on Law and Order, and I really made the choice. I kind of knew going into the first one that I definitely wanted to do this, but it wasn't how I wanted to. I didn't want to have that kind of career, because there were a lot of people that were, that their whole careers were doing that kind of thing in costume like that. And I guess less so now because CGI is so big, but I just knew it wasn't. I knew I wanted to fully commit to the first one, but I also knew it wasn't something that I wanted to keep doing.
Well, I think when you watch that first one too, you can tell just kind of from your mannerisms and the way that you walked that you were obviously doing the voice and the costume compared to the other turtles. It kind of added more of a realism to it.
Yeah, I think I think I was so connected. My body and voice were so connected that they just thought there was nobody else that could do it. I really think they should have had Leif Tilden, who played Donatello. They really should have had him do his voice as well. He's a great actor. The other guys are great too, but like Leonardo, the guy, he was British, so that that wouldn't have worked. And Michelin Sisti also could have done the voice, but they just had different, that was their, creative decision.
Well, obviously you mentioned you've done, 100 or so other projects. You've seen you in Scream 3 and, as you mentioned, Law and Order, and you've done some Star Trek stuff. I mean, are there some favorites of yours that in particular that stick out, or?
No, I'm currently working on this Showtime show called Ray Donovan, and I don't know if you guys have checked that out yet, but it's an extraordinary show. It's so good, and I'm so happy to be part of that. I play a guy named Stu Feldman, who is he runs Paramount Pictures and is just a guy who's super powerful in Hollywood and has all the money and all the toys and all the power, but it's never really built any self-esteem in him, and so it causes him to act in ways that he's constantly trying to one-up people and just flex his power as much as he can. And it's just a great part, and it's like, the other actors on that show are just exceptional, like Liev Schreiber and John Boyd and Eddie Marsden and Dash Mihawk, and everybody on that show is just phenomenal. So there's that, and then there's a movie that came out about a month ago called Touchy Feely, which is now you can watch it on demand, and it's in a few select theaters. And that was a movie directed by Lynn Shelton, with me and Ellen Page and Rosemary DeWitt and Scoot McNairy and Allison Janney, and just amazing cast, and it's a really beautiful film. So those are the two most recent things that are out that I've done that I'm really, really proud of, and I think they're just very, very different from one another, and just great projects. A great movie, Touchy Feely, and also Ray Donovan on Showtime.
So obviously you're keeping busy then, for sure. We noticed too when we were kind of looking up some stuff that you've done, we noticed this Committed Impulse on your website. Can you explain that to us?
Yeah, I've been teaching for about 20 years actually, and Committed Impulse is started out as a training just for actors, as a way to get them to be spontaneous in their performances. The tendency can be for actors to want to set their performance and then to, in a sense, recreate what they've set. And I've it's always been most interesting to me to see an actor that's spontaneous, meaning that they're creating their performance in the moment that they're doing it. And so committed impulse is a way to, it's really a technique or an approach to create spontaneity. And a lot of it has to do with getting out of your head, out of your thoughts, and really engaging with the information that's in your body and engaging with what's in your immediate environment. And when that happens, a creative channel opens up. And that's really that's where the source of creativity is. And it's just an extraordinary way to work. And over the past 5 years or so, entrepreneurs have been taking the class because it's great for anybody that really has to put themselves out into the world. And so often when we really take a big step out into the world, we'll feel uncomfortable, we'll have thoughts that are less than supportive, how is this going? Is this going well? Do they like me? I'm no good at this, and blah, blah, blah. And so committed impulse holds all the tools so that, one, you can deal with any body sensation, and it's not about getting relaxed. It's about increasing your tolerance for the full spectrum of body sensation. And then it's another very simple tools to get out of your head once you have those kind of, I suck kind of thoughts, which all of us have. And it's just an incredible, set of tools to be present and to have fun and to do your best work. And I have an online program, and I also have, if for your listeners, a free audio on the website. It's about a 20-minute little course about how to stay present in anything you do, just on the Committed Impulse website. If you just click on My Free Class, it's just a free audio download.
Sounds very cool. That's you're definitely keeping busy acting and trying to help other actors. That's awesome.
Yeah. I love doing both.
Well, we know you mentioned the new movie Touchy Feely and Donovan. Do you have anything else coming up or anything you want to let us know about?
Well, I'm actually just about to start working on a movie called Life Itself, and it's with Diane Keaton and Morgan Freeman. And I got a call a little while ago, with an offer to do that, and I was just so thrilled and honored, really, to work with both of them, because they're just people that I've just, watched my whole life and just think they're amazing. So I have that coming up, and I haven't started shooting yet. And then there's a movie that I did with Zac Efron and Miles Tyler, which opens, I believe it's either January or February, and it's called An Awkward Moment. And that's a really fun kind of comedy, just about relationships and just dealing with the awkward moments that come up in life.
Awesome.
So that's what I got coming up.
All right.
Beautiful. Well, thanks a lot for bearing with us, Josh. It's been great having you on.
Yeah, man. Thank you, guys. Take care, you guys.
All right, you too. Thank you.
Okay.